Since 1934, Iowa's farmers have turned to the Iowa Farm Bureau spokesman as their trusted news source. Now, the Spokesman Speaks. Listen in and hear from leading experts on topics important to farmers and agriculture. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to our November 4th edition of the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Andrew Wheeler, and today's episode is full of helpful information for farmers and other rural entrepreneurs who want to take their businesses to the next level. We'll start the show by speaking to two members of our Iowa Farm Bureau team who will share the wide variety of Farm Bureau programs and resources available to those farmers and entrepreneurs. Next, we'll dig deeper into one of Farm Bureau's unique programs and share some tips that farmers and small ag business owners can use to create their own standout brands and marketing strategies from an award-winning marketing agency. And finally, since it's open enrollment season for many Iowa families who are assessing their health coverage options, we'll spend some time discussing the Farm Bureau Health Plan, which is a great choice for many Iowans who need an affordable alternative to costly individual health coverage. Let's begin with Amanda Van Steenwyk and Adam Koppes. Amanda leads Iowa Farm Bureau programs that help farmers explore alternative crops, livestock, and marketing opportunities. And Adam leads Renew Rural Iowa, the Iowa Farm Bureau program that supports rural entrepreneurs. Together, they're a wealth of knowledge on the programs and resources available to today's evolving farms and small rural businesses. For more details, here's Farm Bureau's Zach Bader with Amanda Van Steenwyk and Adam Koppes.
Adam and Amanda, thanks for being here to talk about the role that Iowa Farm Bureau plays in encouraging ag innovation and entrepreneurship in our state. Clearly, that's something that you both see firsthand in your respective roles. Amanda, I'm going to start with you. In today's challenging ag economy, obviously, innovation and adaptability are really essential, especially when you're a young or beginning farmer. What are some of the ways that you see Iowa Farm Bureau helping farmers really embrace innovation and adaptability in ways that make sense for their farming operations?
So we have a number of events that we do that provide an opportunity for our farmer members to learn, not only from the speakers and industry experts, but also farmers that are embracing innovation and really doing it on their operation and have been for a number of years. And one of those is our Acres of Opportunity Conference. It's an annual conference where we really highlight all the different types of agriculture within Iowa. We've had a number of breakout sessions at each of those conferences. This will be the fourth year that we're doing Acres of Opportunity, and our breakout sessions are really farmers educating farmers. So it's anything from flower farming to raising and selling meat birds or goats, really embracing that meat goat market, a lot of produce focused stuff. So a wide variety of what Iowa agriculture is. And we've had over 250 people attending that conference each year, and really continue to get great feedback from that they get to learn from fellow producers on what the industry is, how it's working out for them personally. So that is one of the opportunities that we provide. Another one for young farmers that we do is our Grow Your Future Award. And that's part of the Young Farmer Program. So farmers that are 18 to 35 can apply for our Grow Your Future Award with the chance to win up to $10,000 for their operation. So it's a process of applying with a video and answering some questions. There's a panel of judges that reduce the number that go to an online public vote. And then there's a pitch off at our Young Farmer Conference. So that's really to highlight the innovation that our young farmers are doing and looking for a different income stream to bring back to their operation, which sometimes means that they get to go back to the operation and make agriculture a way of life for them.
And we've had some really innovative folks in that space as well. I remember last year's winner had like 43 different fruit and vegetable crops on their farm. You've done direct-to-consumer meat, a mushroom farmer, a dairy farm that had a bed and breakfast right on the farm there. Some really innovative young farmers in that space.
Yes, it has been impressive to see the variety of what young farmers are doing in that truly innovative ways that they're bringing money back to the farm. And then also, speaking of the Young Farmer program, our Young Farmer Conference, which that conference is planned by our Young Farmer Advisory Committee. So it's truly our members putting on a program for the wide variety of members, especially determining those breakout sessions. And this year, they've talked direct to consumer is something they want to hit on in those breakout sessions. And then also value-added agriculture is something that they would like to see as a breakout session. So it's out there. It's a need. It's a want that our farmers are telling us.
And then you've also got some marketing and branding workshop series coming up as well that, again, builds on, we talked a couple times about the direct-to-consumer side of things. And this is helping those farmers. Well, tell us a little bit about this. How is this going to help the farmers who want to sign up for this session?
The marketing and branding workshops came through feedback from actually Acres of Opportunity. We had a branding breakout session at the conference, and the mass feedback was, hey, we want to really focus more on that marketing and branding aspects of our business. We've got the production piece figured out, but we need help on the branding and the marketing, figuring out social media and those kinds of things. So we took that and we did, it's 4 days total, but we split it up into 2 months. So 2 days on branding and 2 days on marketing, where they can hear from a marketing agency of really how they work with their customers on developing those plans. We did it last year. This is the second year we've done it, and the feedback was very positive and appreciated getting to hear from experts in that field of how they can apply it on their businesses and farms.
Adam, we know that innovation and entrepreneurship are really crucial in our rural communities for our rural businesses as well. Many of these small companies that are in their rural communities are started by farmers, or they're providing some kind of off-farm income or employment for farmers and their families. And these companies, they need the resources and support to help them get off the ground and grow, especially early on. And that's something the Iowa Farm Bureau has been playing an active role in for nearly 20 years now. Could you tell us about the Renew Rural Iowa program and your team's efforts to help grow and sustain entrepreneurship in Iowa?
Yeah, like you said, Renew Rural Iowa has been around since 2006. We've mentored hundreds of Iowans and created over $150 million in economic impact for rural Iowa since that time. And really, the way to think about it is whether it's a new technology that's potentially applicable to agriculture or maybe a manufacturing firm in the business park on the edge of town, we're there to kind of help those companies in whatever way that we can. So the way in which we do it, we kind of call it a four-legged stool, but we have educational opportunities, we do mentoring and connecting, recognition opportunities, and then we have financing resources as well for select companies as they grow.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about that funding portion of it, because we actually had a chance as Farm Bureau staff to go out recently to one of the entrepreneurs that you're helping in central Iowa. Tell us about that Rural Vitality Fund and what its purpose is, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the entrepreneurs you've been able to help.
Yeah, sure. So Rural Vitality Fund been around for the same amount of time, and we do have a number of kind of success stories that have been built over the course of the last couple decades. So you mentioned the one we recently visited, Grosswen Technologies. That was a technology that was developed by a dual PhD at Iowa State doing his postdoc. And he's an Iowa resident, went to Iowa State, and came up with a new way of treating municipal wastewater using algae and actually farming algae in a vertical conveyor belt system. So totally new way of growing a new crop, for lack of a better term. But what it does is the algae actually eats the nutrients out of the wastewater, cleans up the water for the municipality. In this case, the system we saw was in Slater, Iowa. Company's located in Slater, Iowa as well, headquartered there. It's one example of new technology that's being developed every day at our, I would call it, world-renowned research institution up in Ames, Iowa State. As a Hawkeye, that's hard for me to say, but that's the truth. And yeah, it's a great example. We have others. We have a manufacturing firm that I always like to talk about, Precision Metalworks over in Maquoketa, Iowa. 2008 hit, and it was a rough time financially for the company, but we were able to step in as Farm Bureau, provide some financial support for them. And today that business is thriving. They do custom parts washers for manufacturing firms. So as a new part gets machined in a production system, Precision Metalworks makes the cleaning robots that clean that part and move it along the assembly line. So there's more examples than that, but those are two that have really done really well here in Iowa and employ a lot of Iowans, made by Iowans. It's pretty cool.
And so we get the benefit of seeing here in Iowa some of those great stories come out, how we've helped rural entrepreneurs, but also that's playing out on a national stage as well. Over the course of years, American Farm Bureau has a National Ag Innovation Challenge program that they run on a yearly basis. And we've had a lot of Iowans participate in that program over time and perform very well. And obviously, a lot of that stems back to just the environment that's been created within Iowa as it relates to help fostering entrepreneurship. And a lot of that stems back to rural Iowa as well.
Sure, yeah. So that program is really an opportunity for companies here in Iowa to showcase themselves and what they're working on a national stage. And, Iowa entrepreneurs have done quite well. We've had 4 winners over the course of the last decade. So 4 overall winners of the competition run each year. And then we've had actually 16 top 10 finalists over the years. So what it shows is that the innovation that is happening here in our state, made by Iowans, is actually having an impact at a national level. And, if you just think about it, we are the leaders in agriculture here in Iowa, and the innovation that is conducted here to improve our operations on a day-to-day basis really impact the state, the nation, and arguably the world. So it's pretty cool.
Amanda, there are a number of organizations that are out there that are encouraging farmers to diversify and innovate on their farms. What would you say is unique about the programming and resources that Iowa Farm Bureau brings to the equation?
As a member organization, we are taking the feedback that our members give us from each individual event and really making it to meet our members where they're at. So we're really following that grassroots method that we're used to and really providing the programming that is needed for our members where we're at. And then we're leveraging experts that are tried and true in that industry and having them put a farming lens on that and really making it applicable to their business.
And Adam, maybe a similar question here. Right now, there's a pretty healthy ecosystem for Iowa entrepreneurs today. And maybe it wasn't that way 20 years ago when Iowa Farm Bureau started Renewal Iowa. But what does Iowa Farm Bureau bring to the table in your mind that's unique and crucial when it comes to supporting rural entrepreneurs?
Yeah, you're right. 20 years ago, it was a different story. But today, there are resource providers available to every type of entrepreneur at every stage of their journey, essentially. So whether it's just an idea in their head or they're into their first manufacturing firm, whatever it is, the point is we're a really good state, in my opinion, to start and grow a company because of all the resources that are available, of which Renewal Iowa and Amanda's program are just a couple. So I think, if you just think about it broadly, it used to be that it was you maybe had to go to the cities or the coast to start a business. Today, you can, if you're anywhere in Iowa, you can start right now, as long as you have an internet connection, most likely. But assuming you have that, you can start today. And folks like us and others around the state are here to help.
So this one goes to both of you, but maybe I'll start with Amanda here. In your mind, what's next? How do you see Iowa Farm Bureau continuing to evolve to meet the challenges that farmers and rural entrepreneurs are facing?
I think as we have developed a lot of new programming in the last 5 years, we have shown that we are willing and able, and we want to help farmers where they're at and what the need is at that time. So as a member organization, we get to constantly hear feedback from our members. So I see us as an organization continuing to move with the times and really try to provide the resources that are needed at any given period, as Adam mentioned, where they're at in their evolution of business.
Adam, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is I'm very optimistic about the future of our state and our ecosystem. Our willingness to build solutions for whatever opportunities that might exist here in Iowa. And so one example is over the last decade, a program has been building called the Ag Startup Engine that's sort of leveraging, it's based in the Research Park in Ames. It's leveraging the expertise and all the resources that are available at that world-class institution that I mentioned earlier, Iowa State. And that program is really serving as sort of a center point or a flag in the ground where really if you're doing anything interesting or new in agriculture broadly defined, the place to do it is here in Iowa. You never were able to say that previously. Like I said, you had to go to the coast, you had to go to the cities. Now it doesn't matter. You can be right here in Iowa. We are the center of anything that's happening, I think, personally. I'm really optimistic to see everything that's going to come from that over the next couple decades.
Amanda and Adam referred to several programs offered by Iowa Farm Bureau. So we're going to link to all of those programs down in the notes for this episode if you'd like to learn more about them after listening here. That includes information about the Acres of Opportunity Conference, the Grow Your Future Award, the Young Farmer Conference, and Renew Rural Iowa, which will be offering a free half-day seminar for rural Iowa entrepreneurs November 19th in Manchester and December 13th in Montrose. We'll also include information about a unique 4-day workshop series that's just around the corner. Iowa Farm Bureau's Marketing and Branding Workshop Series, which is designed specifically for direct-to-consumer farms and other small ag businesses that need to create a standout brand and develop digital and social strategies to get noticed. For the workshop series, Iowa Farm Bureau is teaming up with Flying Hippo, an award-winning marketing agency located in Iowa and Florida. Today, we're joined by J.P. Smith, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Flying Hippo and one of the folks leading our Marketing and Branding Workshop Series, which is November 13th and 14th and December 4th and 5th in West Des Moines. Not only will JP give you some good reasons to register for that upcoming series, he's also going to share some tips you can start applying to your small ag business right now. Farm Bureau's Zach Bader takes it from here.
JP, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your marketing experience and expertise.
I grew up in Boone, Iowa, and went to Iowa State University. After I got out of college, I did what a lot of college graduates do. You know that you're off trying to establish yourself, get a job, and get into a career. I did study marketing at Iowa State, so I was leaning in that direction, but really never got into marketing for another 7 to 8 years after college. I was in sales and other business elements, and then got into marketing. Long story short, elevated myself within some larger corporations, became what is now known as a CMO. I was a VP, a senior VP over marketing and sales, and really dug into that and loved it, understood it, had a really good career, relocated to Florida to work with an organization. And after a couple of years down here, I went out on my own, and I was encouraged to do that. Started my own agency, and with that, just really bootstrapped everything myself, paid for it all on my own, and grew it over time, focusing on incredible branding and really, really strong marketing that drives business. My career in marketing has been roughly 30 years now. So everything we do is done with a great deal of intention and focus on helping our client partners grow their business. That's the main piece of all of it, that everything that we do, no matter how good it looks and no matter where it appears, it's got to drive business. It's got to make the cash register ring. And that's the really critical part. And our people, and there's around 30 of us, we have offices in Des Moines, Tampa, and Fort Myers, Florida. And all of our people are focused on helping our client partners win and, more importantly, grow their business, no matter if it's a smaller company, mid-size, or extremely large. So that's a little bit about who we are and a little bit about me. Love what we do. Really had a great time a year ago with the Iowa Farm Bureau and starting these workshops, and more importantly, trying to advance everyone, and more importantly, the Iowa farmer who's really getting into and elevating themselves in different ways in their product lines and services.
And yeah, so let's just pick up right on that. You're going to be leading another one of those multi-part marketing and branding workshop series for farmers and small ag businesses on behalf of the Iowa Farm Bureau, and those begin on November 13th. So tell us a little bit about, the farmers and small ag business owners who are listening in. Tell them a little bit about what they're going to experience through that.
Yeah, we broke these workshops into two parts. One of them, the first part is branding and understanding who and what you are in your business and what it says and how it says it, and more importantly, what kind of emotional ties it has to the people that will be interacting with that brand, and more importantly, buying the services and or products that come away from that. The second part of it is, and that's in December, is the marketing piece. And the marketing piece is where to go, how to put your brand in the right places to connect with what we call the ones, your main customers that are really going to be engaged with the brand, but more importantly, purchase from you and hopefully repurchase. So we go through some very fundamental things with the branding workshop as to making sure, and knowing how to establish your brand. It's more than just a logo, if you will. It is something that really has to connect and have a personality, and how to really do foundational things in establishing that in the most economic way possible. Not everyone has a ton of money to throw at this. So doing it, while you're trying to run another business as well in parallel in many cases, whether that's livestock or row crops, you're trying to get things off the ground and doing it in the most advantageous way so that it hopefully drives additional revenue, but most importantly pays for itself and doesn't become this huge expense. But doing it the right way is really important, and we take a lot of time in our workshops to do that. And also helping each business and each farmer, if you will, ag business, look at themselves in a very critical way to make sure they sharpen their saw within their brand and get it to the best place possible. Because if the brand isn't solid, spending money in marketing is, kind of like pouring water in a leaky bucket. It's still going to hold some water, but it's going to drain over time. So making sure we're teaching and promoting in a way that connects to what they're trying to accomplish. And the workshops do that. It's very interactive. There's a lot of great questions. There's a lot of things we work on together as a group. We work on some things in small groups as well as individually. And the takeaways, at least the feedback I got last year was really good. And we made and developed a lot of really good relationships and dealt with some really wonderful people. So I'm really anxious and excited about doing it again this year. Some of the people that were in our workshop, I became a customer of, but that is just one of those things that happens, that the relationships that are built, the connectivity, the ability to bounce things off of one another and see what other people are doing, and then above all, helping to advance and mature their business, and more importantly, how that looks to the general public and who they're trying to target. So that's it in a nutshell, if you will, on the branding side. The marketing side certainly is a follow-up to that, where now that you've got your car ready to go, if you will, let's put some gas in the engine and make it go. And the marketing side really goes into the basic fundamentals of where you should spend your money or how you should spend it, and not wastefully, so that you're getting a good return on your investment. And that's what, your branding and your marketing is. It's an investment into your business, but more importantly, it's there to drive your business and drive it forward. So we take the same approach in our marketing workshop as well, as far as the interactivity, sketching things out, laying things out, coming away with some good takeaways, and dare I say, even a moderate plan, if you will, as to what to do next. Because a lot of people are at different places in their business. Some are a year in or a couple of years in. Others have been doing it 10 years, and it's a little more mature. So everything we do has a flavor to it that fits where they're at. So it's not just for any one specific business. Some are very large, others are very small, but everything is applicable. And above all, we work really hard, and this year certainly learning from last year, connecting those pieces for them so they can do this in a way that is really going to differentiate them from their competitors, but more importantly, find new customers and do it in a way that is very judicious with the dollars they put forward.
You referenced making this specific to farmers. Is there something unique about the challenges that farmers have as they go into marketing, getting into the direct-to-consumer side of things? I know there are probably a lot of overlap between this and other clients that you work with, but is there something unique about farmers and small ag businesses and the challenges or opportunities they face? And how does this workshop going to help them deal with that unique circumstance that they have?
A lot of them, if you look at it, they're running two businesses. One of them is their main farm business, whether that is livestock development and or row crops, right? And that is very large in scale. And now some of their businesses are secondary to that and or they do both. And there's a balance. And that's very unique to a lot of other businesses because you have to focus on what is really paying the bills and putting food on the table and growing what is your family business and has been for a number of years. And so that balance is really important. So it's about, okay, what kind of investment are they willing to make, both monetarily as well as with people? What is the time and effort they have to put forward to a lot of it? And with the advent and takeoff of social media and content marketing, specifically through video, what do they need to do to showcase what their services are, what their brand is, what kind of products they have, and helping them understand that what they do can go beyond our state boundaries. With everything being online in a digital world and so many people being connected to the Midwest and more specifically Iowa, there are people that want those products and services. And more importantly, because they're from Iowa, there's a trust factor there. And I buy my beef from an Iowa beef producer and have it brought down. And, there's an eye-opening and an epiphany kind of thing that happens in these workshops so they can see here's where we can go and here's what we can do. But that balance of understanding both of their businesses and how much time, energy, and effort I can put into each one without having one slip is very unique. But it's also very doable as well, because there's one thing about Iowans, we're hard workers. And more importantly, we're willing to do some of those extra things and put in that extra time to really make things work. And the effort is very well worth it. So that's the biggest thing, Zach, is that balance. Other than that, it's a business. It's a small business. It could be a medium-sized business. And it still needs the care and attention any other business does, whether somebody's doing HVAC or pest control or any other business that you see, construction, whatever it might be. They have those same challenges in their branding and marketing that an Iowa farmer does too. So there's some parallels to other businesses, but there's also some differences that we explore because they pose their challenges in these workshops, and we try to find solutions for them, at least from a guidance perspective.
So if we get into a few specifics here, are there things that you specifically ask farmers to keep in mind when they're first going into creating a direct-to-consumer brand? Maybe offer us a couple of those. And of course, I know you'll elaborate more on this over the course of a couple-day conference, but give us a sense of some of those quick hitters, those ideas that farmers should be keeping in mind as they're creating a direct-to-consumer brand.
Number one, their story matters. What is it about? What's the driving passion behind this business or driving their brand and creating it, because that is the thing people connect to, and it's an emotional connection, and there's an opening there, and people want to trust that, and it's organic, and people don't lean into that as much as they should, because maybe they just don't like to brag about themselves or talk about themselves. But that's really, really important. That story matters, and every brand has to have that story. Another one is identifying those really important targets, that really important group of people that are going to make purchases from them, and not just once. They're going to do it over and over again. They're going to keep coming back because they're going to connect to that story and connect to that brand. And I think another thing is understanding that your brand is much more than just a logo. And a lot of people kind of confuse that. And developing your brand is not just doing graphic design or multimedia to promote it. It's really understanding what it emotes and how it resonates with people in their minds and in their purchasing behavior. The third thing I would say is also don't spend marketing dollars until your brand's really tightened up. And I mentioned that earlier, but understanding, really, really what your story is before you put it out there, because people are going to connect to that, especially through social media and video and all of the different applications and channels that are out there. Another one that they need to keep in mind is anecdotal information doesn't replace data. It supports it. You got to track everything that you're doing, especially your sales, especially your leads, where they're coming from, who they're coming from, and understanding that one-off thing that happens to you isn't always the thing you hang your hat on. You hang it on that data and what that data tells you. And then look at everything, in your brand and through your marketing through a business lens. Don't fall in love with it because it looks great. You got to make sure that it's doing something for you. And those are some of the key pieces that we get into. There's a lot of detail underneath each of those, but those are some really good takeaways, if you will, that lead into what we're trying to accomplish in the workshop.
So over time, I'm sure working with a lot of clients like you have, you've seen things that have worked, you've seen things that haven't worked so well. And so if you had any recommendations for folks on a common mistake you see that they should avoid when creating a brand for themselves or starting that marketing plan for a farm and ag business, what would that be?
Wow, that's a great question. It's really understanding what you're spending your money on. And what are you going to get from it? And looking at it through that lens. If I'm going to spend money on this, what is it going to do for me? And how is it going to generate revenue? A lot of people don't look at it that way to start with. The other thing with your business, your branding and your marketing shouldn't be secondary. It shouldn't be an, oh, by the way. It needs to be a core piece of your business fundamentals that you're getting into, because something's got to drive sales. And it just doesn't happen overnight, or because you put up a website, or because you get, develop some social media identities. You've got to look at it and go, okay, how is this going to enhance my business? And that is the thing that people miss on quite frequently. They catch up on it, but they don't look at it when they're developing their business, because everything they're doing is trying to develop that product or service and get it to where it needs to be so they can sell it.
You just heard JP say that your farm or ag business has a unique story to tell, and that story is going to play an important role in connecting with potential customers. If you're ready to take the next important step in building your business's brand and marketing plan, you definitely need to consider Iowa Farm Bureau's Marketing and Branding Workshop Series, which begins November 13th. Check out all of the details in the notes for this podcast episode, or head out to iowafarmbureau.com. Okay, let's pivot to the final topic on today's agenda, health coverage. It's open enrollment season for many Iowa families who are assessing their health coverage options in 2025. With that in mind, we wanted to take time and remind you about the Farm Bureau Health Plan, a great option for Iowans who need a more affordable alternative to costly individual health coverage. For more on that, here's Spokesman Editor Tom Block with the Vice President of Health Insurance Services for Farm Bureau Financial Services, Steve Kammeyer.
Today, we are visiting with Steve Kammeyer to learn more about the healthcare landscape today, and specifically how the Farm Bureau Health Plan is helping Iowans. Steve, the Farm Bureau Health Plan has been around for several years now. Refresh our memories on why Farm Bureau created the health plan and how it's faring, and what makes it different from other health plans.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, let me give you a little background. So the Iowa Farm Bureau Federation has a 50-plus year history of providing healthcare benefits to its members. We have a long relationship with Wellmark here in the state of Iowa. And several years ago, the Federation recognized that with the passage of the Affordable Care Act, there were some members that were kind of left out in the cold by that legislation. I'll explain that more in a little bit, but really it's those that don't qualify for subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. It made healthcare very expensive, and the Federation recognized this. We worked with the Iowa legislature and the governor's office to get some legislation passed that allowed us to offer a health benefit plan to our members. It's a little bit different than traditional health insurance in that it allows us to underwrite the policy. So we can price it according to the underwriting. It certainly allows us to be more price competitive than some of the other options that are available out in the market. Again, the Affordable Care Act made healthcare affordable for many, and it's the right choice for many. However, it's not the right choice for all. And for those folks, the Farm Bureau Health Plan has been a great option for them to consider. We've served thousands of members over the last 6 years of our existence.
So who is eligible for the plan, and who are the Iowans who can benefit the most from this?
So any member of the Iowa Farm Bureau Federation is eligible for the plan, and that's a relatively painless process if you're not currently a member to become one. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the people who are going to benefit the most from the plan are those that don't qualify for subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. Those subsidies are income-based, and there's some other rules around how you qualify for those. But we have members that are coming off of an employer plan or a spouse's employer plan, or they're turning 26 and they have to come off their parents' plan. Or we have people that are retiring early that need health care until they get to Medicare age. And those are kind of the folks that we target with this plan, and we can help the most.
If someone is interested, what are the enrollment options for Iowans to sign up for the Farm Bureau Health Plan?
So to sign up for the plan, you do need to visit with a local agent. They can walk you through the benefit plan designs. We have 3 different benefit plan designs out there. They can explain the process to you, help you fill out the application materials, the underwriting forms, etc. Once that underwriting has been completed, they can also help you then select a plan and get enrolled.
How extensive is the coverage and the provider network that enrollees can access through the plan?
So as I mentioned earlier, we have a long-term relationship with Wellmark here in the state of Iowa. They're the largest health insurance company in the state. They're actually the administrator for this plan. So while they don't technically underwrite the plan, they do administer the plan. And that allows us access to their claim system. It allows us access to their provider network. So they have almost 100% of all the providers in the state of Iowa. So it's a very strong network. We do cover all the essential health benefits covered under any ACA plan out in the marketplace. So you're going to find it's a very comprehensive plan. It's actually modeled after those plans that are out there today.
It's open enrollment season for healthcare coverage plans, and many Iowans are considering their options as we speak. I just got an email this morning in my inbox talking about it. One important distinction is that sign up for the Farm Bureau Health Plan is open year-round. Tell us more about that and why that's important.
It's important because sometimes things happen that don't allow you to enroll at a particular time of the year. There's reasons, and I won't get into all the risk reasons and underwriting reasons that the Affordable Care Act has an open enrollment period, but there's things that happen during the year sometimes that make you want to enroll in a plan year-round. Again, coming off a parent's plan, retiring early, whatever it may be. And while the ACA does allow for some of those life events, this allows you to truly have an option whenever you need it to enroll in a health plan.
Steve, thanks for sharing the information and joining us today. If folks are interested, how can Iowans find out more about the plan and start that process of enrolling?
Yeah, great question, Tom. You can certainly learn more about the plan by going to our website. That's www.iowafbhealthplan.com. The best way, honestly, is to probably go visit with your local Farm Bureau agent. All of our agents are certified to sell the plan. They can walk you through the plan designs. They can talk to you about the provider network, the application process. If you don't currently work with a Farm Bureau agent, you can certainly go out to the Farm Bureau website, www.fbfs.com, or contact your local county office and they can help you locate an agent that can help you out.
Thanks, Steve. If you're paying too much for your health coverage and you're intrigued by some of the features Steve was mentioning, you owe it to yourself to check out the Farm Bureau Health Plan. To learn more, check out the link in the notes for this podcast episode or visit iowafbhealthplan.com. That's all for this edition of the Spokesman Speaks podcast. We hope you picked up some useful information and that you'll join us for our next episode on November 18th. Thank you for doing the work that inspires everything we do here at the Iowa Farm Bureau, and thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to the Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.